So Robin, how do you sharpen your saw?
Well, when I think of sharpening a saw, I think of all of the things that I do to prepare me to teach, but also to work with in my family and everything else. And so some of the things I do is I do a lot of reading. Okay, of books that talk about communication or talk about a lot of different things, culture and everything else, so that I know more. Other things I do, I go to workshops sometimes, and I practice what I've learned so that I'm better at what I do. So those are some of the ways that I sharpen my saw.
Thank you. Hey Karen, how do you sharpen your saw?
I run. It gives me a sense of freedom.
Play music.
How do you sharpen your saw?
I recently have joined Aquafit and I listen to music to help me relax.
So how do I keep my saw sharpened? Well, very, very important, the 4 areas, which is very similar to the domains that you guys have learned about. So we need to keep focused on physical, cognitive, emotional, and social. So for me, to keep my saw sharpened, what I do for physical, which I'm not very good at, is I try and go for walks or engage in some sort of physical activity a couple times a week. Definitely could improve there. In order to keep myself on a good place with cognitive or mental activities, I try and live by the saying of learn something new every day. So I try and search out different little things throughout my day that I'm always continually learning, taking extra courses, being involved in things that challenge me on a cognitive level, so I'm always learning. On a social level, I think I work on knowing who I am and being true to myself and trying to act according to that on a social level. And on an emotional level, definitely giving back to others around me, to my community, and helping out. Volunteering is a really big part of my life. I've always volunteered and I will continue to do so. So those are the 4 areas and the 4 kind of things that I do to try and keep my saw nice and sharp.
Get some sleep.
Well, first of all, I think it's important to look at your life kind of as a balance. You know, I mean, we all have different parts of our lives. I mean, family, work, friends, leisure, and I think it's important to keep all those elements of life in balance. You can also look at balance in terms of, you know, taking care of the physical, the emotional, the psychological, the social. And I think part of that is also making good choices. And one of the best choices I made in my life was my career choice. And I'm really fortunate to have a job I thoroughly love. And even though I've been doing it for a long time and I'm getting older, I still love coming in every day. And there's always something new every day in terms of the content of what I'm teaching and the relationships with students. And so it's something that's really important to me and something that, again, I take a lot of pleasure out of. And I've also made good choices in terms of my family and my relationships. And that's not just choice, but it's also, you know, being able to manage your relationships and not just manage, but also work on them. I mean, all relationships take work, and you got to put the effort into it. And so at my age, I'm sort of able to sit back and just really enjoy my family and my wife, who I've been with for a long time, and my 2 grown kids who are doing great things, and I love them and love being around them. So again, at this point in my life, I'm kind of enjoying some of the choices I've made, both in terms of my work, my family, and my relationships. But there's also something else, and I guess I'm not a religious person, but something that I think is maybe a little bit more spiritual, or a little bit that gives me joy. And you've heard me talk about cycling and hiking, and to me, that's the spiritual component, to be able to scramble up a mountain, you know, and sort of enjoy the mountain air, and just the feeling you get when you're in the mountains or on top of the mountain, and, you know, and sort of, you know, tax your physical abilities to get there, and the pleasure you get by sort of working your way up to the top of the mountain. And I've never, been in the mountains, whether it be hiking or cycling or skiing, and never enjoyed, even though it could be raining and snowing and blizzarding, there's still some element of being in the mountains that gives me a lot of joy. And the same with cycling. I get together with a group of friends here, and we get out, once or twice a week and cycle. And again, that same feeling of enjoying the feeling of being on a bicycle, the balance, the relationships, the fresh air, the scenery. So all that is really important to me. And again, I guess back to your question, what sharpens my saw is all that combination of things.
Okay, thank you.